It is lights out and away we go. This is Tuesday and this is Frontstretch, a late night here at Frontstretch. We got to match the theme because Singapore runs at night. So I'm with
Yeah.
I'm with Tom Blackburn here, talking about everything that happened at the Singapore Grand Prix. Not much happened, to be honest, but honestly, it was interesting to see the McLaren drama that happened between the two of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris in this one. Blackburn, we watched it. The radios were hot between Piastri. He even silenced Zach Brown there as well. What did you think about what happened between the two teammates?
First of all, happy birthday to Wyatt Watson. He just turned 27 for the dozens of people that are streaming this right now. He is freshly coming off his 27th birthday this weekend. So congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just in time so you could watch this wonderful McLaren partnership just kind of bang heads a little bit. So
again,
in Formula One, you always feel like that this is going to happen. These guys are always, they're not buddies in the entire scheme of Formula One. It's just not the dynamic that this system produces, right? And I get where Oscar is upset, but at the same time, I didn't think that it was really like on purpose. Lando, remind me, did he accidentally hit the curb or he hit Max and then he ended up going to the right?
He had the brake check because he was going to hit Max, and then it ended up being a rubberneck between the two teammates side by side.
It's just close.
It was a turn 3 or 4 coming up.
Yeah.
Coming to the straight. Yeah.
And the series has literally made legacy defining moments where teammates who are literally going for the championship end up hitting and crashing either in the beginning or at least on that first lap after they start. So this is ingrained in the great moments of the sport. And it was just funny to see Oscar get upset because on the flip side of that, it has worked against Lando multiple times this year. He wrecked trying to pass Oscar earlier in the year. And then I'm trying to think if something else had happened to him. So it's going to happen, right? You just figure it's going to happen. When they're trying to become world champion, there's no way that these guys are going to get up, hug, and be like, oh, man, we're best buds. Let's go hang out. This is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see this getting any better. I've been preaching this that we're eventually going to get to the point where we're going to have it's getting more like Piastri's hating McLaren at this point because just cutting off Zach Brown was like Oscar world champ constructors cut off. Like he didn't care. Like he's been, he feels like, I don't know, but feel like he's been a little bit wronged. Like he's owed 1 or 2, but you're not going to get that when now the constructors title is all squared away between McLaren by Singapore. It could have been done by Baku if they had a good weekend there. And still the other thing is that, which we'll get into a little bit, Max Verstappen beat the McLarens. Now they were saved a little bit by their Mercedes brethren which they of course rocked the Mercedes power unit as well. But the fact that George Russell got the win ahead of Verstappen kind of avoided a little, even more disaster that would have threatened a driver's championship for either of those guys. And Oscar at the same time feels like he's getting played second fiddle to, even while having a 24-point lead in the standings.
Well, but Oscar has to.
22.
This is an in the moment thing. If he thinks that he's being played or something, I think he's wrong. First of all, he needs to keep in mind his very first win was given to him by the team. and Lando played the good teammate, moved over, and Oscar was allowed to have it. So he has seen the benefit of the whole team orders and everything like that. That Lando didn't do it. Oscar specifically said something about teammates. It was a ridicule or a critical comment of teammates. And he made it sound like in the heat of the moment that he did that as a poor teammate. But if you watch the replay, and I'm sure Oscar, hopefully he does kind of take it back there, he didn't do it on purpose. Lando did it on purpose. It was a racing deal. And I'm sure if they talked to afterwards, they would have, chilled out about it. So I just think that this is what's going to happen. And Max Verstappen doing so well, 2 second places and 2 wins in the last 4 races. What they're feeling is the heat on their back right now because Max is coming. He's not going anywhere. So they got to be stressed.
Yeah. Verstappen's feels like he's unlocking a different setting here because, and that's a good segue into him because I did not think he was going to do good at Singapore. I was predicting that Red Bull has had these issues even in their heyday. The one race they didn't win in 23 was to Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, and Verstappen qualified 10th, and it was a nightmare weekend to otherwise a perfect season minus that weekend. So the fact that they got second feels like a win here, even though Russell got it ahead of them. Does it affect them anyway? It does in the Constructors Championship where McLaren, or rather Mercedes, is like, I think 20. Let me look real quick. It's 35 points ahead of Red Bull. And they even got Ferrari, who did have a bad weekend with Lewis Hamilton, who almost lost a position to a very frustrated Fernando Alonso on the side there. Crazy radio from him from this, but that's Aston Martin for you. But back to Verstappen. Do you agree this kind of feels like a win for Red Bull now that they go into Coda possibly looking at a chance to fight for this title still?
So I was laughing my butt off because during the race Max had a radio call, and this race had fantastic radio calls that they play. I just love how clear the radios are. I so am jealous. If there's one thing from the F1 world that I wish we had in NASCAR and IndyCar was just how clear they are able to replay the radio for fans on the broadcast. It just is so like HD quality audio. But Max, they asked him about how the shifting was. So I guess he has the Red Bull has a shifting issue where they don't have enough power. And he goes, "This is shit." That's what he says. He says, "This is it." And then that was it. And then Max Crofty or Crofty and the other guy who's on the broadcast. I'm blanking on his name.
Oh, they swap it all the time. Wow. I think maybe it was Rosberg. I'm not sure this week.
It wasn't Rosberg because I know his voice, and I apologize to all the F1.
He's very critical of Max Verstappen.
Exactly. but the guy goes, the technical guy goes, "Well, that's some pretty good technical feedback from your driver. That's exactly what you want to hear." And so Max was dealing with a struggling car, and for them to still come out there with your original question, Wyatt. Yes, they should take it as a win. They're going to Coda. Max has won. I'm sorry, I just had it pulled up. 3 of the last 4 races at there. So last year, Charles Leclerc won. So that's a heck of a lot of good momentum for what they're trying to do right now and cut into the lead that they have. Now, man, I feel Oscar is safe unless like something bad happens, but it's not out of that Max can catch up with Lando Norris. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think Lando's well within range for Max here. He's within 2 races. He can get within 2 races if Norris has a problem, which I mean they had a hydraulics failure at the Netherlands and the Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And it's even more out there that now. I'll go ahead and segue into George Russell here, the winner. Now he's 99 away from these guys and made great progress thanks to Verstappen finishing second on the McLarens of Piastri and Norris, or Piastri especially, finishing fourth. So now that as Russell, like, he has a very outside chance. He needs some help, but do you think he's entered this championship picture in the slightest?
I don't know, buddy. I think it's really hard for him to be able to cut into that. Definitely not the championship. I mean, if we're looking at like that same position with Lando being second, is he within the possibility of cutting into that? I look at his results last year at this time, and it was a lot of 6th, 4th, 5th. He did win at Las Vegas, so he had that going for him. But I think the momentum is completely on your constructor champion right now, which is McLaren, to be able to at least maintain their distance on that. It's too late, I think. It's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he's going to be able to try and pull it? If Verstappen is still doing good, it's not like he's going to be able to catch Verstappen. So I don't see it.
That's true, because if it's Verstappen, he'd have to win the next 4 races. He'd need the McLarens to crash out all 4 races and not point.
Yeah.
And Verstappen, he could still catch Verstappen on merit. Yes. But in 4 races time, he'd need to get perfect points throughout the weekend. I think it's just.
Let me ask you this.
It's a small order.
If you were going to take over the next 6 races, if you were going to take Max, or if you're going to take George, which one would you take to end up getting the most points out of those 6 races?
I apologize for any connection issues, but for races, obviously it's Max Verstappen. Max is just, he's there. If he's getting second at Singapore, watch out. It's gonna be one of those.
Brother, he is. Last 4 races, man, whatever they did after the summer break, they have found it.
It's like what Ferrari did last year. They found a second gear, and Sainz. I think it was actually Sainz that won Coda, if I'm not mistaken. It was either Stroll.
It was
Ferrari.
It was Leclerc won Coda last year.
Yeah. Okay. Leclerc won Coda, and they fired it up all the way to second in the constructors out of nowhere. I was like, what? Like, where did y'all come from? Like, it was an insane come up. And this is what it kind of feels like with Red Bull hitting the second gear. Now they're rid of Christian Horner, and that was kind of a distraction. Mm-hmm. You go now and you just flat out dominate with Max Verstappen. Yuki Tsunoda is still hobbling somewhere in the lower points. He can't drive the second car. Nobody can drive the second car. This is a Max Verstappen made vehicle, and they're just flat out dominating with him. Mm-hmm. And McLaren's can answer the call, and they need perfection. They don't need Piastri and Norris banging wheels together. But at the same time, Norris has something to fight for too. Only 22 points back, and all it takes is one mistake from Piastri, and it's game on for Norris himself.
I think, too, this is a really interesting point to highlight. This is why it's so challenging for teams to have 2 A drivers, because they are so competitive and up against each other. That's why I think it's so rare, because you're going to have so much inner rivalry between them, like Norris and Oscar. It's just going to end up leading to this. That's why I think so many guys end up going for really good guy, and then like the Rubens Barrichellos, the Perez's types for the second car.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to go on this championship fight in Dakota, and I think a couple mm-hmm. weekends we'll have an off week to really digest everything. All it was is that, again, Singapore wasn't the greatest race. Obviously, it was tough to pass in this car. Next year we'll have a different car. We'll see how, if the car's still a problem at Singapore, are we not going to look at the track in terms of racing product and passing? But at the end of the day, the points and the qualifying, they all, like, the qualifying mattered the most. Lap 1 mattered the most. McLaren still ended up almost getting in their own way again, like they did, like Norris did at Canada. I must say, if we don't have what happened in Canada, and we don't have what happened at the Netherlands, Lando Norris is leading this with a little bit of a buffer here. Mm-hmm. So there's dirt to be had on both sides, I feel. And we did end up getting I heard Piastri give an answer on what papaya rolls actually are. It's don't run into your teammates. Well, if that's the case, then then I'm a duck, I guess. Like, because it doesn't seem like that's what's going on in some of these cases in McLaren.
At Canada, Lando was trying to overtake Oscar, right? But he didn't hit him. He was trying to prevent from hitting, and that's what led him to ended up wrecking, wasn't it? Or what was the whole situation from Canada?
Yeah, the whole situation was they both were trying to pass Kimi Antonelli, and they both had a run with DRS, and they weren't giving any room to each other at all. And that's what ended up after the run out of the champions chicane, next to the wall champions and all that on the pit straight. They ended up, or Lando Norris ended up trying to make an inside move into turn 1, and instead didn't get off the gas and ran straight into the back of Piastri. So that's what happened there. But yeah, I think this is only the beginning still. Like, we have these 6 races. Coda turn 1 is going to be absolute cinema. I can't not wait for that corner, that start for that race. If you have both McLarens barreling to the tightest corner and the quickest closing point, I think, in Formula One up that hill, it's going to be pure cinema to watch in a few weeks' time in my home state, in my home track at Texas, or in Coda, in Austin, Texas, rather. So one more thing I want to touch up on. It's going to be a pretty short video, but one thing that happened in the IndyCar world that I think you and I are pretty excited. We've had a lot of drivers that got opportunities to test cars in preparation for 2026 for a couple of teams like AJ Foyt Racing, Meyer Shank, Team Penske. They just posted David Malukas getting his test session, and
that
now
was weird.
His number 12. Yeah, it's I'm still dying.
You see that? It says Malukas on it, and you're going, all right, this is weird.
Look, man, like, as soon as we started hearing that, it was like, I'm gonna have to get used to even picturing that in my mind. I still think it's super ironic that he's taking his seat. I still think I covered the race in 23 at Gateway. I still think it's absolutely ironic that they fought for that win there. He wrecked. Power got pissed at him there, and now Lucas is riding in that seat. Just for that sake. But but there has been a lot of interesting figures that have taken to the seat in IndyCar. Blackburn, I'll throw it to you. Who's the biggest one in your eyes, and what do you think of it?
Well, I think we're both going to agree on the one that we're both looking forward to, right? We're going to agree that it's going to be Mick Schumacher, right? A freaking Schumacher in an Indy car. I mean,
God,
this is incredible.
Michael would be rolling around right now if he knew what was going on. This would not be happening.
No, this would not. There's no way. So
no way.
Let's hop into the DeLorean and go back to 2000. I was in Indianapolis. I had the privilege, because my dad was a state trooper. We got to go to the inaugural Grand Prix there. And I remember Michael being interviewed. So would you ever do the Indy 500? And he said, no, it's too dangerous. I mean, he straight up said that. And so that has always stuck with me. And here we have a Schumacher who I kind of understand where he's going from, because he probably doesn't have a whole lot of options. I'm sure World Endurance Championship would probably be the where he could go, because he's out of F1 opportunities, I think.
He's been a reserve for Mercedes rather the last couple of years, from what I know.
Okay.
But he used to be in Haas though, and he kind of, the funding with 1-1 and Haas being Haas at the time wasn't really a great opportunity for him. So he kind of just fizzled out, kind of like Logan Sargent.
Well, if you're a Schumacher, you gotta be driving. You can't be just a reserve driver. And it seems like that is what's pushing him to do this. He wants to be driving, and I hope he has a great experience with it. Look at all the Formula One guys who have come over and have driven this machine and how much they love it. And you wouldn't think they would, but they do. You have Grosjean, you have Ericsson, you have Alonso who have come over and done it. You had Pietro Fittipaldi who came back and did it. Even Palou and Pato have stuck. So I think that's the most exciting one. The one that I'm very fascinated to know, though, just how well he did, I'm kind of looking forward to him, is Dennis Hauger. How Hauger tested with Dale Coyne. I really am looking forward to see what he does next year. So what about you? Besides Mick Schumacher, I'm sure you have some points on that. Any driver that has suited your fancy, just seeing the whole. It looks like they had a really rough go though at Mid Ohio. It looks like 3 or 4 of them crashed.
Oh Lord, I did not see that. Wow.
Yeah. It was not. It was. There's definitely a lot of rookies.
Oh yeah. Well, the one of them, I don't know if he's in that list of wrecked rookies, but the one that caught my eye is obviously Hauger has his ride. Lucas obviously has his ride. Mick Schumacher, the most obvious of them all, but Kyle Collette for AJ Foyt. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. I love those thumbs of approval.
Yes, I was going to say that one, but I wanted to, I already.
Oh yeah, no. This is mine. This one's mine. So
this is yours. Take it.
Indy next winner, Kyle Collette. I believe he won multiple races last year.
He did. Yeah, I'll verify for you.
I think he was the only one to win multiple races, unless Lockie Hughes. No. Salvador D'Alba did it.
I think he won two at the end of the season, didn't he?
He won Milwaukee and he won Nashville at the end. Shout out there. But no, Kyle Collette though he showed great pace. Honestly, he challenged Dennis Hauger a bunch of times. Yeah, 3 times. Yeah. He won 3 times, and some of them based off merit. I think he swept Laguna Seca's doubleheader from what I remember. So
you're right.
It's interesting to see because he's coming out of the Juncos Hollinger racing team over there. Juncos Hollinger themselves have a vacancy, but at the end of the day, we're not hearing about Kyle Collette testing or looking or being looked at his own team that he raced at. He's instead jumping ship to another Chevy team, to one that has better resources, if you ask me, at least on the ovals. But this is a guy that's good on. He's shown his pace on the road courses in IndyNext, but this is a rookie we're talking about. He's a leading competitor to possibly replace David Malukas in the 4, whatever they number that car next year. And the second seat for AJ Foyt was now Blackburn. And I question you here because you said there was a lot of crashes in testing. Was he one of those?
I think let's see, was he the one at Mid Ohio? I'd have to verify.
He was at Mid Ohio. He was. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was the one that crashed or not. I think 3 of the 4 ended up getting in there. Hauger, I know, was one, but I'd have to verify. Wow. But I would say that you're right about that. About AJ Foyt has a vacancy, and this kid could decide to go back. And if he goes back to Indy next, him and Miles Rowe are going to be the 2 that are, I think, going to fight for the championship. But
maybe a Salvador D'Alba like outside chance.
I think you're onto something there because he came on very strong at the end of the year and he was getting it. So I think you're right. Miles has to show some more speed and leading up front on the road and street courses, but he's got the ovals down.
Yeah, I'm interested that he's getting the tab to test with AJ Foyt. I know that the biggest elephant in the room right now in IndyCar free agency that we're gonna have to see what happens with is just Rinus VeeKay.
Yeah,
a guy you thought was a shoo-in for a drive after what he did at Dale Coyne. He declines going to Dale Coyne. He misses. I mean, it kind of like the butterfly effect opens the door to this Andretti partnership with Dennis Hauger. And now you're sitting here with Rinus VeeKay looking at all. I mean, it was the Meyer Shank had I forget his name, but he's the Japanese.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. It's Oni something. Yeah.
Ohei, I think. Yeah. Ohei had his not Shohei, Ohei. But
Kaku Ata something. Kaku. Okay. It's Kaku.
Okay.
That like Taku for Sato. It's
Kaku.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Kaku,
I apologize. I apologize there. But yeah, he tested for Meyer Shank and kind of a name that I wasn't expecting to see. And then you've had Kyle Collette, which was a big eye raiser. That is. I mean, there was rumors of that from Racer.com, and now seeing him actually take the seat is.
He was fastest too.
Connected. Yeah. Oh,
Collette
okay.
is fastest. Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
and I would say too about Collette real fast. He's Brazilian. And last year when I wrote, or 2 years ago, I wrote about when Elio basically retired full time when he stepped out and became part owner of Meyer Shank. He ended a very long line of very illustrious Brazilians that came into IndyCar at the end of the 90s and basically ushered in this Brazilian golden era of drivers. TK, Elio, Mauricio Grugelman. And they were coming off of the heels of Emerson Fittipaldi and then Ayrton Senna, who was in Formula One and who came very close to coming to IndyCar back in the early 90s before he would test it at Firebird with Penske. It was coming, man. It's going to happen. And so to get another Brazilian in the pipeline, I think is really cool for the legacy of that country's open wheelers.
Yeah, and we had Pietro real quickly with Ray Hall, which, by the way, Mick Schumacher was testing with Ray Hall to connect that dot as well. And they obviously kind of have a little bit of smoke for their driver lineup still. They haven't announced anything other than the obvious Graham Ray Hall is going to still be in the 15. It's who's going to be next to him and Louis Foster, obviously, because Foster coming off the Rookie of the Year, coming off a pole at Road America, you can only assume he's going to be there. Obviously, Premise still is a domino to fall in all this, and if they will even be on the grid. But back to your Collette point, I was also a point for me there too, because after Pietro kind of just had his one and done, we had nobody in the Brazilian sphere that fan base could attach themselves to. And now that he's won a couple of races in Indy Next, I think there's a possibility. And being fast in a test session is one thing. It's a good step in the right direction for Kyle Collette. But he has an opportunity to seize that fan base and get them back plugged in into IndyCar in the future. It's not going to happen overnight. We're going to have to see if he is a true and proven product this year. If AJ Foyt does decide to pull the trigger on him, if not, he's still absolutely going to be a threat to win the championship next year. I would even say the favorite to win it next year is Kyle Collette. And if he gets that opportunity in IndyCar already, it will be a fight for sure. You have Santino Ferrucci as your teammate, and you're gonna have to muster him, and he was good anywhere. I mean, it took strategy a couple times for Santino on the street and road courses, but he still got results. And if it weren't for that hand injury, I think he would have been a shoo-in for top 10 in points again. Having that as your competition at AJ Foyt Racing is going to be fun to watch for Kyle if he does get it. And I'm excited to see the future announcements coming up, hopefully. And we'll cover all that here at Frontstretch. So, Tom,
right.
It's good to have you again on another episode of the Pit Straight. It's good to have y'all listening on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And we'll be back in a couple more weeks. Follow us on Twitter, YW Racing, Tom Blackburn 42 for those listening on our podcast platforms. And be sure to check in to all the latest on Frontstretch, including Happy Hour, where Speeds John Roberts, I will still call him Speeds John Roberts because that's who he will always be in my book. He joined the show and talked about the state of racing here and the Charlotte Roval weekend. Caleb Barnes will have highlights from next week's race at Las Vegas on a Stock Car Scoop, and then yours truly will be joined by Tino Patino this week for Through the Gears, highlighting some great bets at the World Center of Betting, Las Vegas, and the start of the second round, the round of 8 for the NASCAR playoffs. Follow us on Frontstretch Open Wheel on Twitter and all of our Frontstretch platforms across social media, Facebook, Twitter, and I think we have Blue Sky as well for our Frontstretch Open Wheelers as well there. From Wyatt Watson, from Tom Blackburn, thank you all for joining us for another episode of The Pit Straight, and we'll see you next time after a great race at COTA.